Welcome to the Deep Dive. Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes a profession tick, what truly defines it, especially one like social work, which is so, well, deeply tangled up with our lives and well-being?
It's a fundamental question, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it just about the skills, the methods they use day to day? Or is there something more essential, like a core way of being that shapes everything?
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're digging into today. The foundational identity, the ontology, if you will, of social work.
And we're drawing heavily on Jadlyn Samutovich's work, right? The Cognosystemic theory.
That's the one. Cognosystemic theory of human psychosocial relational construction. TCCR. Quite a title, but the ideas are transformative.
So our mission today isn't just describing what social workers do.
No, not at all. We're trying to get at what social work fundamentally is as a scientific discipline, its core identity.
And why is figuring that out so important right now for the field and, for us listening?
Well, I think what's really at stake is how effective social work can be. If we grasp its deeper identity, we can see its potential not just for, say, helping one person navigate a tricky situation.
Like managing symptoms almost.
Kind of, yeah. But moving beyond that to actually fostering real systemic change, getting to the root of issues, building connections, transforming the environments that cause problems in the first place. It's much bigger than just patching things up.
Okay, right. So when most people picture social work, it's often that direct support role, helping a family, maybe counseling, connecting someone to resources. That seems practical, tangible.
It is practical, and it's vital work. But Samutovic argues pretty forcefully that social work is not just a technique, not just a toolbox of practical skills.
Okay. So what is it then, in this view?
Its essence, he says, is its relational vocation. That's the key phrase.
Relational vocation. What does that mean in practice?
It means thinking of social work as a science focused on the symbolic and meaningful structure of human relationships, how we connect, how we make sense of those connections, how meaning is built between us.
Wow. So it's a shift from the doing, the specific actions, the forms, the direct help.
Exactly. A shift from the operational doing to understanding its fundamental being. Its core purpose is rooted in the relational field itself.
That really elevates it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about the quality and structure of connection. So if relationality is the core, how does that play out? How does that concept translate into what the discipline actually is?
Well, the argument, if you take it further, positions social work as the social science of human relationality.
The social science of human relationality.
Yeah. And that's not just a label. It means it's actively involved in the mediation, configuration, and transformation of human interactions, specifically in their psychosocial dimensions.
Can you give an example? What does that look like?
Sure. Imagine a conflict within a community group. A social worker operating from this perspective isn't just trying to smooth things over for the moment. They're mediating how people interact, trying to help them reconfigure the relationships themselves, maybe transform the underlying dynamics, the power imbalances, the misunderstandings that keep causing friction.
So working at a much deeper level than just surface problem solving. You mentioned intersubjectivity before. How does that fit in?
Yes. Intersubjectivity is crucial here. This whole idea rests on recognizing intersubjectivity as the very ground, the terrain, where identities, meanings, and even social structures get built.
So intersubjectivity is like the shared space where our individual views meet and shape each other.
Precisely. It's not just my perspective versus yours. It's the dynamic process where our understandings interact, negotiate, sometimes clash, and ultimately co-create a shared reality. Think about a family. A social worker engages not just with individuals, but with the shared stories, the interpretations, the unspoken rules.
The meanings they make together?
Exactly. Identities like parent or teenager aren't fixed. They're constantly being shaped in those interactions. What support means, what failure feels like, that's all forged intersubjectively. Even larger structures, like how a local service operates, are reproduced or changed through these ongoing interactions. Samutovic is really interested in understanding this whole constructed nature of our social reality, putting relationships right at the heart of it.
It seems so fitting then that the word social is right there in social work. Does the origin of that word itself tell us anything, especially thinking about the Spanish context of the original book?
Oh, absolutely. Samutovic makes a really interesting linguistic point here. He looks at the etymology of socio, which is partner in English, and related words like social, society.
Where do they come from?
They trace back to the Latin socius, which means companion, ally, associate. But even deeper, socius comes from the Latin verb sequor, meaning To follow.
To follow.
Yes, but not passively.
Yeah.
It implies accompaniment, belonging, being part of a collaborative relationship, like following alongside someone.
So it suggests an active togetherness, an intentional connection.
Exactly. And in Roman law, socius meant someone part of a common pact, an alliance. It has this built-in relational dimension. So the author uses this, especially powerful in Spanish, where socio and social are so closely linked, to show that the very idea of the social is founded on interaction, companionship, shared bonds, not just, material things or legal rules.
That linguistic root really reinforces the whole relational argument. It's fascinating.
It is. It suggests the foundation is human connection itself.
Okay, so if social work has this incredibly deep relational core, why do we so often see it, or why has it historically been seen in a much more, technical or administrative light? It feels like a disconnect.
That's a central critique in the book. Simunovich really takes issue with this reductionist view, seeing social work as just a technical support practice.
And what's the harm in that view?
The consequences are pretty significant. It obscures the discipline's own potential to develop knowledge, its epistemological and theoretical power. It basically keeps it in a subsidiary role, like it's just helping out other fields, medicine, law, psychology, rather than being a distinct science in its own right.
It's like focusing only on the tools a craftsperson uses, not the craft itself or the vision behind it.
That's a good way to put it. And this creates, as Simunovich calls it, a dissonance. The global definition talks about social change, justice, empowerment, big ideas. But practice often defaults to a more individualistic focus, dealing with cases one by one, maybe not fully tackling the systemic or relational issues.
Right.
And there's research, Hicks has mentioned, pointing out a lack of studies on how social workers actually use theory or generate it from their practice. That suggests a gap if theory isn't actively engaged with. The discipline isn't fully living up to its potential as a science. It stays stuck in doing without fully developing its being.
That's a strong critique. So given this limitation, what's the way forward? How can social work embrace this deeper identity and potential? It sounds like it needs its own framework.
Precisely. This ontological view highlights the need for a theory from social work for social work. And that's where TCCR comes in the Cognosystemic theory of human psychosocial relational construction.
Right. The big name again. Let's break that down a bit. Cognosystemic.
Okay, so cognosystemic, that points to how our thinking, our cognition, our meaning-making is all intertwined with the systems we're part of. Families, communities, internal relational patterns.
And psychosocial.
That links our inner psychological world with the outer social context. They constantly influence each other.
And relational construction.
That emphasizes how our reality, especially our social world, is actively built through our relationships and interactions. It's not just out there, we construct it together.
So the theory about how thinking, feeling, social context, and relationships all weave together to create our experience. How is that different from, say, theories borrowed from psychology or sociology?
Well, those external theories are valuable, of course. But Simunovich argues they're often insufficient to capture the specific nuances of social work. They don't fully grasp how social work intervenes right at that messy intersection of individual lives and social relationships.
Yeah.
TCCR is designed specifically to address the narrative, symbolic, and cognitive dimensions of relationships. Think about what social workers often do. They work with people's stories, the narratives they tell. They engage with symbols that hold deep meaning. They help shift how people think about themselves, their situations, their possibilities.
So it's tailored to the actual work.
Yes. It aims to go beyond just describing what's happening. It wants to provide a framework for actively promoting transformation. To rethink social work practice, its praxis from this inherently relational, narrative, and systemic perspective. It's meant to be a map for understanding and intervening.
Moving beyond description to transformation. That feels key. And this whole redefined identity, this new lens, must surely rest on some core values, right? What are the foundational principles that underpin social work when viewed as this kind of science?
Absolutely. And reviewing those founding principles really reinforces this ethical, transformative vision rather than a purely operational one. They're not just add-ons, they're integral to its being.
Like what?
Well, first, there's humanism. This isn't just one thing. It means seeing human dignity as an absolute inherent value in everyone, way beyond any plan or technique. Respect is fundamental.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. It also includes fraternity, solidarity, actively fostering supportive communities, and crucially, respect for human diversity, ensuring interventions are fair, inclusive, and value difference.
Okay, so dignity, community, diversity under humanism. What else?
Then there's self-determination. This is the right of individuals to make their own informed, autonomous choices, recognizing people's capacity to identify their needs and figure out how to address them. The goal is empowerment, not dictating solutions.
Building capacity, not dependence. Makes sense in a relational framework.
Exactly. It respects their agency within the relationship. And finally, social justice. This has two core parts.
Okay.
First, challenging and trying to change the actual social structures that create and maintain inequality, tackling the root causes.
The systemic piece.
Right. And second, promoting the active participation of marginalized groups, empowering them to advocate for themselves and shape the systems that affect their lives. It's about equity, not just charity.
So humanism, self-determination, social justice, these aren't just nice ideas. They really shape the how and why of the work, grounding it ethically.
Precisely. And they align perfectly with those ontological foundations we talked about. They reflect the social nature of humanities. Our identities are tied to relationships. They embrace dynamism, and social change reality isn't static. And they affirm our capacity for agency, that humans are meaning makers who can shape their world. That's the scientific being in action.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really paints a picture of social work as something much more profound than just a technical service. It's a science focused squarely on human relationships, their complexity, their power, their potential for transformation.
That's the core argument. For the discipline to truly evolve, it needs to own that ontological identity, recognize itself as a science of human relationality, not just a collection of intervention techniques. That recognition unlocks its true potential.
A really powerful conclusion. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. If our society started to really understand and value social work based on this deep relational and transformative identity, not just its practical applications, how might that change things? How might it reshape our approach to well-being, to policy, to how we connect with each other in this complex world?
Well, possibilities open up when we truly center the power and potential of human relationships. It's definitely something to think about.